Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. That's Taylor Gates. Today we are talking about Season 6, Episode 9, Doubt. Mind-blowing episode. Cannot wait to discuss it. Before we jump in, a few reminders. First and foremost, if you were assaulted and need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673, 1-800-656-4673. Friends, I said it without looking at it for, I think, the first time, or maybe the second time ever. I'm very proud of myself. For those who don't know, 4673 spells hope. Taylor, I got you. You sit tight.
I'm sick. Okay, if you couldn't notice from like the 2 octaves deeper of my voice right now.
I'm trying to take the weight off you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If this is your first time joining us, what an episode to choose. That's a choice. Consider this your content warning. I'll tell you right now, I had such a huge crush on Billy Campbell, and Shannon Sessamon is my type. So consider this your content warning.
Yeah.
Because although this episode deals with rape, I will be discussing how hot these actors are.
It's all a game of pretend, everybody.
Yes. Here is the quick cap for this episode. An art professor's alleged rape accusation devolves into a confusing battle of he said, she said. Okay. Before I ask you your opinion, Taylor, let me tell you, at season 6, were you watching live? No. Okay.
What year did this come out? Let's do the math.
I don't want to do the math.
No, I want to do the math.
2004?
How old was I, Yael?
2? I don't know.
I was 8 years old. I was 2 years old, so no, I was not watching this live.
Okay.
If I was, we maybe should have called my parents and had a discussion. I was watching, what was I watching? Full House, probably.
Full House wasn't on in 2004.
Not live, Yael, just for fun.
I forget that that's a thing. I forget that, like, the shows I grew up with, people watched, like,
on Nick at Night.
Yeah, on Nick at Night.
The Nanny? Oof. The Nanny.
Anyway.
When are we doing the podcast? I'm ready.
I'll tell you this. Something that I literally considered doing during the pandemic. I love The Nanny. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Are we doing a spin-off podcast about The Nanny?
If you could give us titles for the name of that podcast, please do. Anyway,
my God.
let's get back.
So excited for this.
Doubt. Okay, so I watched this live. Doreen, who is live in the chat, says, "Yep, I'm old enough to see this live." Yes, Doreen, we watched this live. I remember the ending and being furious, absolutely livid that you would end an episode with so much controversial feelings, polarizing emotions, and be like, whoops, shrug, for those listening on the audio podcast.
I will say, I remember vividly watching this, though not live, obviously.
Yeah.
Watching it on one of the marathons. And I was like, okay, so I started like rapidly Googling. I was like, Doubt Part 2, Doubt Verdict. Like I was like, when does it come back? I was like, it's not the next episode. It must come back. And it never, ever did. And before the show is over in 30 more years, the finale better be fucking telling me what happened at the end of this episode. Like, I'm still not over it.
I want nothing more than a throwaway line from, like, Benson being like, I mean, you remember Myra. That was, and then, like, telling us what happened. Because,
yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Every time I've seen this episode since the first time, I've loved this episode.
Yeah.
Like when you get past that anger, which to be fair, like I think I loved the episode until the end. And then I was so mad I couldn't appreciate the rest of the episode.
Let's be so honest with ourselves though.
Yeah.
this episode would not be nearly as memorable without the end. Like, it would be a good, solid episode.
Sure.
It wouldn't be like, that's that episode. Like, it's gimmicky, but it's really effective gimmick. Like, as much as it pisses us off.
Oh, absolutely. But upon rewatch, every time that I've seen, because I've seen this one so many times.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every time I watch it,
tell me that in this.
right, it feels almost like every time I watch it, I go, can I pick up on clues so that I know what happened? Because that's the other thing that I find even more interesting is that even if we got a conclusion, even if we got a guilty or not guilty verdict, we still will never know what actually happened.
Yeah, very true.
I have to give some shout outs then. This episode was written by Marjorie David. Marjorie David. Congratulations. Great episode. Directed by Ted Kotcheff. I already gave some actor shout outs. Billy Campbell played Ron Polikoff. Why do I have a crush on Billy Campbell? That I don't know. But I had such a big crush on Billy Campbell. I'm going to tell everyone the secret of mine. Such a big crush. There was a waiter at a Chili's, one of those, in my hometown who looked like Chevy's or Chili's. I don't remember which one it was.
Chevy's.
It's a Tex-Mex restaurant.
Okay, we have a Chili's where I'm from, but I've never heard of Chevy's.
Okay, so
that's a car dealership, babe.
Also, where I grew up, there was, I want to say it was a Chili's, but it could have been a Chevy's. Doesn't matter. Point is, there was a waiter whose name I can't remember who looked like Billy Campbell. And so my friends and I would go and flirt with this waiter who was a college student when I was in high school. Because he looked like Billy Campbell.
Wow. I love that piece of lore that we got.
Thank you. Thanks. Also, Shannon Sussman, for those who cannot identify her, I'm assuming that you know her from A Knight's Tale. That's my assumption. So that you're like, oh yeah, she's the girl from A Knight's Tale. But I believe she was
also that. She reminds me so much. This is so random, but she reminds me so much of the girl from Talk to Me, which is the new A24 movie. What's her name? Hold on. And then you can look her up and be like, oh, I think it's probably the hair, but also like the facial features. Her name is what is her name? Sorry, I'm trying to Google it.
Well,
Sophie
while you look, what is it?
Sophie Wilde. She reminds me so much of Sophie Wilde.
Sophie Wilde.
I don't know, something about her vibes.
Let's see this girl.
If I duck out of frame, I'm blowing my nose just so that everybody knows. So they're not like, what's she doing? I'm blowing my nose. Okay.
I totally see how you could say they look similar. I'm also going to point out a big difference.
Well, yeah. But like their facial, like they like.
Yes, I see it. I see it.
You can be similar, not be the same race.
I just, when you said that she reminds you of her, I thought like you mistook her for her, but you didn't mistake.
Also, Sophie Wilde's like in her 20s. There's no way this character. I know it wasn't her.
Okay.
Reminded me in the acting too, like their way of acting. If you would go see Talk to Me, not to plug it, great movie though, but it's very similar vibes.
Okay, fair. So I will say, for my generation, Shannon is better known for A Knight's Tale and probably 40 Days and 40 Nights, because that was when Josh Hartnett was on his rise to teen heartthrobness. But she also, I guess, has been doing more work recently. So people might know her from... Hold on, I got this. Something. Anyway, point is that's Shannon Sussman. I feel like her career was also on a trajectory, and then it didn't go where we thought it would, and that makes me sad because she's very talented. Also, killing it in this episode is a girl named Winter Coleman, who played Jenny, and a Carolyn Miller, who played Sophie.
Also, that complete unknown Viola Davis.
Yeah, let's talk about Viola Davis in this episode because she fucking kills it. She's
Yeah.
so good. And then I get so mad during her closing argument, but she's so good.
She's
Every time I see her now on SVU, because she did a few episodes as this character, all I can think is this is how she got How to Get Away with Murder. Because Donna Emmett crawled so that Annalise Keating could run.
Run. You're so right.
Thank you. I'm glad I got that phrase right.
You did. You're like very much hip with the kids.
Thanks.
It's just fucking phenomenal though. Like she's one of the greats. And we got blessed enough to see her on SVU.
She's incredible, and I am so glad that she is getting appreciated now for her talent and skill. But like in a show, look, everyone knows I love SVU. I've literally referred to it in public many times as the greatest show of all time. But her acting is just so much better than everyone else all the time.
Yes. It's so funny. I love it. That's the beauty of SVU. Like it's such a melting pot of like soap opera stars. And Countess Luann and Viola Davis were on the same show. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, you're right.
That's so funny. I'm obsessed with that.
I feel like what I think is even better about it, and her performance specifically, not to stay on this too much longer, but like she's obviously, this is going to sound like a dig to everybody else, but she's just so much more talented than everyone else.
Yeah, 100%.
And yet, it's not one of those things, you know, when you watch it and you're like, wow, this person is taking this so much more seriously than everyone else. They need to calm down. It's not that, which is so impressive as well.
Yeah, agreed.
That she like is able to shine, maybe outshine, but still not detract.
So true. Yes.
Which is such a skill set. Anyway, remind me again, how many Oscars? She has an Oscar.
I think so. If she doesn't, that's fucking criminal.
I believe she has at least one Oscar. You're looking it up. In the meantime, speaking of performances, I have to talk about one of my favorite things ever, which is so Jeffrey Carlson played Justin, the boyfriend, when he throws the coffee cup and then spits into it.
Okay,
and goes,
yeah,
here's your deal.
This is so funny that you say this because I have to say, I was going to save it for best lines, but fuck it, we'll do it now. It's not even lines. It's just action.
It's the movements.
The movement. Yes, I literally in best lines, I just have dumps cup, hawks into it. Here's your DNA sample. However, before that, speaking of Viola Davis, the way that she grabs her purse, I've recorded it. I'll actually play it for you right now on my phone because it's.
Tell me. I missed this.
Insane. Like, hold on. I'm gonna just the fluid moment. Okay, let me try to. This is gonna be so...
For those listening, you're missing out.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you see the way she flings that purse? Obsessed. Like, there's just whoever directed this episode, like A+ because the physical comedy in it.
Ted Kotcheff.
That's such a good job, man. Like, because it was like a 1-2 hit. Like, it was the purse, and then it was the hawking into the club.
The way that he does, I don't know how to explain this, but like he throws the thing, and then he brings it and spits, and then juts it out again. It's just like so fluid. I had to describe it because I was like, it's not the line is whatever, it's the movement.
Yes, exactly. Okay, but I do have to say, if we're talking about directing choices, I'm not confident that this episode had a lighting budget. Because why? For the first 10 minutes when they were in the hospital, looking like we were in a noir movie. Like, what was that? And the funniest thing to me was I was like, okay, yeah, they're like doing the light tests. Maybe it's dark in there because they're like doing all these
sure
light. And then Olivia goes, let me get the lights. The lights are already off? Like, what? Do we not have lights in the hospital? So, like, the gaffer grips did not show up that day.
Look, I have to say, okay, so for those who I guess are more recent fans and have not watched old seasons, the terrible lighting was like a staple.
Yeah,
and it was,
but this was like
it was so extreme that I noticed. Okay, so in the first scenes with the rape kit and the suspect exam, literally in the suspect exam, there's one light source. So when Billy Campbell is standing there in his underwear, half of him is in shadow. And then when the camera turns the other way and you see Stabler, it's the same. There's one light source. There's just a light pointing at the two of them. It's fucking ridiculous. How do you take an exam with no lighting? First of all. And second of all, I think you're totally right. It was so funny when she goes, let me turn the lights off. Because, so for those who haven't looked at the thumbnail for this video or podcast, I have to tell you, I literally lightened it so that we could see the picture.
It literally looks like they're in like a 1940s detective movie. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think it was obviously purposeful and hilarious, especially now.
I laughed so hard. I was like, what the hell? This is egregious. Like, it's so funny.
Oh man, you and I are definitely feeling the same things this episode.
Yeah.
I'll also point out some things. When Stabler takes her home, I remember upon first viewing, second viewing, many of viewings, you see his hands and it definitely looks like he's holding her up. Upon this viewing, he absolutely gropes her with both hands. And I was like, there had to be like a choice to like make sure you saw that it happened. And I didn't notice it until this time.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Right. Because the framing has his hands basically out of frame. But if you watch it, the first moment, he has both hands. And then it like adjusts and it looks like it was an accidental.
Yeah.
Anyway, hilarious. What else did I want to talk about? I don't remember if this I wanted as a quote or if I wanted this as my shower thoughts. So I'm just going to hold it for shower thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Taylor, go ahead.
I mean, it's just very funny how they misled the audience like they did. It's like, uh-oh. And like, that's the daughter. I'm like, okay. Because, like, the fact she's wearing that robe, like, it's just so funny how obvious they tried to, like, trip us up. And then, of course, it's like, you know, kind of in on all the whatever. I don't know. It's funny.
I absolutely love when they go, how old are you? And he's like 16. And they're like, the fuck? I love that. But I agree with you. I think that I don't know. The robe really threw me. One, teach your 16-year-old daughter not to answer the door in a fucking silk kimono.
Right?
Maybe.
Also, like, who lounges in that? Like, give me a break. A 16-year-old too. She's in yoga pants and an oversized crew neck.
Or if she does have a robe, it is a fluffy, soft robe.
Yeah. A 16-year-old is not wearing that.
A silk kimono.
Like, with her at her dad's house for funsies. Like, there's just no way. I guess she has to dress up for the Wednesdays and every other weekends. I had to note that because of Sailor being like, that broke my heart. Shut up. I'm doing this one right after last week where he's like so sympathetic to the teacher's husband. Like, he was so goddamn annoying, like, in these early seasons, and like watching them back to back is just like so evident of that.
It's so funny because they're seasons apart, but also
whatever, it's 1 through 12 is what I'm saying, like early years. You're so obnoxious.
I want to ask about, because you're more in touch with the EO shippers,
Yeah.
and I remember, because again, I watched this when it was airing, so I remember the like chronologicalness of Stabler's separation, attempted divorce, their reconciliation, Eli being consummated and then born, and all of that. Like, I remember that storyline.
Most chaotic manner possible, yes.
Yes. So this episode, I like remember where it sits, but now upon viewing season 24, where they're literally doing all this shit to convince you that this ship could happen, and they're teasing and whatever, I'm like, oh, is that what this is? Is that what the fuck's happening here?
Yes. Yes. Like, they've been baiting for so long. If you watch the fan videos, quotes from this one are always in it.
Really?
Yeah. He's talking about leaving it. He's talking about how Kathy left him. Also, like, deep cut that probably no one is going to know what the hell I'm talking about. But there were these, I don't even know if they're still on YouTube. Like, when I first got into the shows, when I watched them, there were these really funny videos that people would make, and they would just have clips and they would bleep out random words so it sounded like they were saying, like,
Sure.
I can't watch one of the scenes from this without thinking of it, because I used to watch those all the time. Because it's like when Elliot's walking away and Elliot was like, will you talk to me? And so they bleeped out talk to me. It's just like, will you it's such a funny clip. I'll see if I can find an upload that or something, but
Please.
I literally can't watch this episode, and there are so many clips like that because I thought they were so funny that whenever I see them for real, I always just think about the bleeped out word.
I the only one of those that I like remember and love is the Count from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
And I can't not hear that. So I get it. I totally get it. Okay, so first off, I want to point out, just because I want it on the record, Donnelly was bureau chief. I have forgotten her story arc, and like how she began with our team to being a judge, and I would be fascinated to do that at some point, is to follow that story, but perhaps after we do our next one.
Yes.
Also, I want to talk about the email threats, which were in my mind a stupid detour, but did get one of the most fascinating moments, which is when Myra's lawyer suggests that it was a men's group, and I guess I didn't realize that like men's rights activists were such a, like, in my mind that's a modern incel thing, but
Totally.
apparently not. And later when Viola Davis and Ron Polikoff suggest that he is the victim on the stand, I went, oh fuck, I forgot that that's a thing.
Yeah, I feel you. That was interesting to me too, because you think of that being like much more present day, like with the internet and stuff, but always existed and had their ways.
Yeah, I remember, like, I watching it when she's like, it must have been the men's rights. I was like, why?
Yeah.
And then when he's like, I'm the victim, I went, that's why. I see.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about Myra's suicide, air quotes on the word suicide.
Yeah.
Attempt. I remember, I feel like every time I watch this, I'm like, this manipulative bitch. But this time, when she's sobbing and crying, I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Where do you stand?
I think that she's very mentally unwell, but I don't think that she's like a liar, if that makes sense. I think that she's got stuff, and I think that her trauma, like, definitely probably has her have triggers that are probably like she needs to work through because they probably weren't actually, and like she's not coping and dealing with things in the right way. But I don't see her as like a malicious liar. Like I believe her personally, but I just think that like she can't work out a lot of reality in her head because of like what's happened to her, and her mental health state is like where I stand on her as character.
Do you, I mean, the big question, what do you think happened?
It's so hard. I don't know. I feel like he hurt her. Maybe it wasn't like exactly how she's talking about it, but there's just like you have to be an insanely good actress to like, you know what I mean? Like she's obviously so disturbed. I don't know. I think she's got issues to work through, but I do think that he hurt her. And also, if she's that in that much of like a vulnerable state, like in terms of mental health, like it's very easy to take advantage of a person like that.
Totally. I think one of the things at the end of the episode during closing arguments, Novak says, why would she put herself through such hell if she wasn't telling the truth? And I think that that is a really important question. And it's something that, like, when allegations come out in the real world, when we hear stories, it's one of those things that I think of every time, that no victim comes forward and is like, this was easy. You know what I mean? It's not only incredibly hard as a person for yourself, but when you come forward publicly or when you come forward to the police or whatever, the whole situation fucking sucks. On top of what happened to you, everything you go through at that point fucking sucks. And so to put yourself through that, there has to have been a reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the harassment that people receive when they publicly say something on the internet, for example, when they go up against a celebrity or someone wealthy, they are actively choosing to battle hell because something happened. And so I always think about that. And it's one of the reasons I definitely believe victims and I believe women. And I think that in this situation with this episode, over the years, I've gone back and forth as to what I believe. I think every time I watch it, I change my mind. I have no idea, which is, again, a testament to such great writing. But I believe victims. And I think that the moment where Myra is walking out of the courtroom and they like look at each other, this time I noticed it so much. And in my mind, it was like, he absolutely did something. And maybe it is the way that Benson said at the beginning during the exam that like, she was like, I kissed him. And then she says, but you said no. That like, maybe it was that, which is, as we know, you have a right to change your mind at any time.
Yeah.
So who knows? Yeah. Alexa in the chat says, one of my faves, it's All Shadows. Both cast doubts on their story, and I never know who to believe. Absolutely. This episode.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's really well constructed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to end on something positive, and now I can't remember what the fuck it was that I wanted to end on. Oh! Sorry, didn't mean to shout. When Rod's on the stand and his lawyer says, search your soul. Do you regret anything? Or did you do anything that night that you regret? And I was like, yeah, he regrets fucking all of it. Like he regrets literally all of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to search his soul. I know. He regrets calling her, opening the door.
Very much just like on the top of his soul. No searching required.
The whole thing.
The whole
accepting her to be his advisor. Like he regrets teaching at that school. I'm sure he regrets fucking all of it.
Being born, actually. Yeah.
Being an artist.
Yeah.
Speaking of art, I don't want to shit on art, but I do want to shit on her construction paper with the wig.
I think that's like the funniest thing too, because you can tell that the director was like, okay, just like hang up, and the actor was like, okay, and she's just like trying to find a place to put this like fucking shape on the
tape. And like it looked like, I want to believe that it was like the beginning of a thing, like she was just putting it in place so that later she could whatever, because otherwise shush. It looked like
I think that was the whole thing.
Elementary school bulletin board.
Like it's literally, you can see the tape. Like it's not.
I know.
It's bad. It was bad. Okay.
Okay. Shall we move on to best lines?
Yeah, I only have a couple. This wasn't like a funny episode.
Really. I have two. So I'm gonna go first because I think we have different ones. So one is not like my teacher. I'm a graduate student.
Yeah.
Because still your teacher.
So like still your teacher though.
Right. Still an authority figure. So hilarious. Not my teacher. And then when he says, I haven't dated anyone under 21 since I was that age myself. Think about the words you said. When you were 21, you haven't dated anyone under 21. So only people between 18 and 21? Or 18, 19, 20? Because it sounds like you're saying, I haven't touched a teenager since I was barely legal myself.
I mean, the wording was bad. I got his point, but...
I also got his point, but when you think about it...
It's like,
But also, the Jenny is 25.
Yeah.
Not that big of a difference.
No.
All right, hit me with your lines.
Well, I mean, speaking of, like, the 25-year-olds, like, I love that we had a sort of evil roommate, I have to say. Like, I love the evilish roommate. Yes. She's kind of a bitch, but go off. Her art wasn't good either. She was just fucking painting. Okay.
She made the sculpture. When they go to the table, there was a model of the sculpture, and so just the middle part needed to be painted blue. Sorry, just something I noticed.
He tries to do art. Personally, it cracks me up. One line I found extremely relatable is when she's on the gurney getting into the ambulance, and she's so worried about her portfolio, and she goes, oh, you must think I'm such a loser. Like, this is how I would be reacting, I feel, in this situation. I'd be so worried about my stupid portfolio, and then I'd be like, that's so dumb, why are you worrying about that? But like, I really just like could relate to her in that moment.
I get it.
Like a bird hits your windshield, I thought was so poetic.
That line, the whole part, the windshield swerve off the road, like really great writing right there.
Her grandmother miraculously came back to life. It was great.
To bail her out.
Yeah, so good. Can you tell me when you last had sex with Myra? Sure, if you tell me the last time you got laid. And then finally, speaking of so like
ballsy.
Big email threats, first of all, it looked hilarious on the screen. It looked like a straight up Word document, like set to like 48 font. Whore liar, I hope you die, bitch. Like, not creative at all. Like, just like, come on. Like, if you're gonna be threatening, like, make it a little fun and spicy, like the other ones that we've like had. Just whore liar, hope you die, bitch. Boring. No effort was put into that one at all.
I agree.
Not even a fun font, not even different colors.
No emojis.
Lazy. Lazy threats. Those are my quotes.
Amazing. I agree. This episode wasn't full of like fun lines, but it was a good episode.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So, there are no new reviews on iTunes, which is a bummer. So please go ahead and I'll say this. If you would like to go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating because you like us, and then let us know what we should call the Nanny podcast. Yes. Please do that in the comments there. I mean, you could also do it on YouTube. That's fine. But we do like iTunes rating and reviews. And if you write them, we'll read them on the air. Also, for our friends who listen in the shower, here are my shower thoughts. So during this episode, we have this moment where we learn that Jenny, her roommate, says that they're not friends, they're just roommates. And it reminds me that I've literally told everyone I know that you never live with friends, that like your roommate should not be your friend. I know that face you're making. Give me a second. I've always said it is incredibly dangerous to live with a friend. It usually ruins friendships. Now, the face that Taylor is making, and those who have listened to this podcast before are probably going, Yael, you're like best friends with your roommate, and you were friends before you lived together. So what the fuck are you talking about? Well, let me tell you. The only way that it works, and it's why it works very well for me and my roommate, is we are incredibly upfront and forward with any issues, and we know that they're not personal attacks. For example, if I leave dishes in the sink for a week, my roommate can go, wash your fucking dishes. And I know it's not a personal attack, and he didn't have to be passive aggressive about it. He just tells me. And that's the only way that it works, is to separate emotion from roommateness. That said, I do stand by my belief that you should not live with friends because it usually ruins friendships.
Here's the thing.
Please.
This isn't even a shower thought. This is just a tangent.
Go ahead. Shower thoughts.
I agree with you. You're this way on the screen.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So it's like, why marriage? You know,
excellent question.
Like this person, don't live with them.
Okay, so continuing our shower thoughts.
Just like completely shitting on
No. No. Look. There, according to TikTok, there's a whole new wave of people who are in long-term committed relationships, some even married, that live apart. Either they have separate rooms in their home or they live in different homes. They have two different places to preserve the relationship. And the truth is, the ideals and like beliefs that we have in marriage, coming from two very unmarried single people, but all of that shit is so outdated. And that I was literally thinking about this the other day, not in the shower, but I was thinking about this the other day, that back in the day, I don't know when, but back in the day, this idea that you would go on a date with one person was considered incredibly inappropriate. You and one person was unacceptable because it was obvious that you were being inappropriate, and you'd have to have a chaperone or you'd go on group dates. And now the idea that you would go on a date and there would be other people is weird. But also, like, the concept of marriage and the way that people, I'm going to call out traditional people who believe that marriage should be a man and a woman for the purpose of having a child, and that this whole thing is a religious thing. Marriage originally was this concept of merging wealth and alliances. And so it was a business arrangement before it became a church arrangement. And now, anyway, my point being, you're right, Taylor. Don't live with your partner. There's no fucking point. I mean, unless you have to raise an offspring, then I get why living together.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to deal with it. But like,
also,
we got way off tangent.
If you like it, if that works for you, love that. Wouldn't work for me. And I feel, hot take, a lot of people would choose to not if they didn't have societal pressure, and their relationships would probably be healthier for it. Like, you should do it if you want, but if you don't want, you should not feel forced to. And that's shower thoughts, bitch.
Those have been our shower thoughts today. All right. Should we move on to what we learned? Because I have something. Mm-hmm. I'm so ready for what did we learn this episode. Okay. This is something I learned about myself, friends. I'm so proud. So when Benson and Stabler are having their argument up in the loft area in the station, I then started remembering episodes where they use that loft area and like where we've seen it before. And it made me realize how much I personally miss that fucking second level in the station, and that we don't have it at all in our new house, and like we haven't seen it in years, and it bums me out.
That's so fair.
That's what I learned this episode.
I like that.
Thank you.
What did I learn? I think I learned that the lighting budget has only gotten better for us. Which is
This is why they fire the cast.
Yeah.
They cut back on actors for lighting.
So we could see the screen. Yeah. Thank you for that.
That's good. That was a good lesson. Oh man, I freaking loved discussing this episode. For those who haven't yet noticed, we have announced the next round of episodes we're doing. We are off next week, but let me read to you the plan. On September 24th, we'll return with season 3, episode 23, Silence, which is the first introduction of Sister Peg, because we are doing Sister Peg episodes. We're doing 3 of them. After that,
pegged.
What?
Hashtag get pegged.
Okay. That's not what that means.
Yes, it is now.
It's not.
I can't believe you're the one acting like so, like,
No.
you're
Look,
I am pegged.
I am pro pegging. That's not what this means.
Yes, it is. Get pegged.
Anyway.
Peg timber. That's right. That's right, Alexa. Peg timber. Thank you, Kari, for coining that for us.
September 24th, Silence. October 1st, season 4, episode 1, Chameleon. October 8th, season 6, episode 18, Pure. I will say, somebody posted a picture of Martin Short yesterday. Martin Short is in the episode Pure. He's also on Only Murders in the Building, for those who don't know who Martin Short is, which is blasphemy, but whatever.
Well, he was trending this week. Did you see?
He was what?
Trending.
Yes. I panicked and thought he died.
No, someone just wrote like a nasty opinion piece about him, and the internet rallied.
Okay, so I panicked and thought he died, and I was like, oh, fuck. If he died, we'd have to move up the episode. But more importantly, thank God he's not dead.
He's just cool.
He's a Canadian treasure. Anyway, I panicked. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, people in the chat. Doreen says, yes, the loft. They used to eat lunch up there. That's true. God, I miss that loft. Doreen says, love this, Sister Peg. It was Alexa's idea for Pegtember. Yeah. Yeah. Did I say Martin Short? Yes, Martin Short. Did I say something else?
No, you said Martin Short.
Okay.
I think she likes Martin Short.
Okay. I got nervous. Sometimes I'll think of somebody and I'll say a different name completely. And I'll be like, 20 minutes later, be like, I didn't say the name. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the schedule. As a reminder, we are off next week. We'll be back on the 24th of September to begin Pectember, which goes into.
Wait, isn't that the Earth, Wind, and Fire song? Do you remember?
Yeah.
First night. 24th night. Which one is it? Is it the 20th night of September?
Earth, Wind,
That'd be
Fire,
special.
Sept,
We're doing it on the Earth, Wind, and Fire Day.
21st.
Sad. Whatever.
Sorry, friends. It's almost as good as when we did it season 9, episode 3 on September 3rd.
That's sick. We didn't plan that.
Nope. All right. Until the 24th of September, when we begin our sister pegging adventure. Taylor, if people want to wish you to get well soon, where can they do it on the internet?
You can do it on Twitter/X. I think the X just makes me laugh because I will never actually call it that.
Right.
I'm there at alpha_Ann. I'm also on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Amazing. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. It's YAELTYGIEL. I think I'm going to add a wiggle to that. Yeah. Anyway, if you would like to see me do other shows, not The Nanny, but other podcasts,
Not yet.
not yet, you can check out the official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast, after The Arc and Paradise Found, the official Almost Paradise After Show. All three of those are available on Electric now. There are still more episodes of Almost Paradise coming out, or Almost Paradise After Show coming out. The entire second season of the show is out. We'll see you September 24th. Bye, everybody.